Hello everyone. Let's wait for two more minutes to people to join the webinar. Please give a thumbs up if my voice is audible. Okay. Uh, let's start the webinar. Um, Good evening, everyone. So I'm truly excited to welcome you all. So on today's webinar on RPA, like integrating OpenAI. So with Zoho RPA workflows. So first of all, thank you everyone for taking the time to join the webinar today. In this session, so we'll explore how traditional automation can be uh, supercharged with the power of AI. So specifically, we mean the OpenAI and how it can be seamlessly integrated with Zoho RPA and and beyond that, so we'll just beyond the automation, so we are using the intelligent decision making using the OpenAI, which is incorporated into the RPA workflows, right? So whether you are already using the RPA or just starting your journey, this webinar will show you how to bring the real AI capabilities into your business processes, right? And we have a demonstration coming up with the real use case with integrating the OpenAI with RPA and towards the end of this webinar. So let's dive into the uh, intelligent automation with Zoho RPA. So, yeah, before we get into the session, like let's address a question with that might already be on your mind, like why are we combining something like futuristic, which is I'm saying about the OpenAI, which is futuristic, and with and the task driven tool like RPA, right? So the traditional RPA, like what Zoho RPA does, this is all about automating the structured and repetitive and rule-based tasks. So these are the things like data entry, invoice processing, email forwarding, uh, or the API-based automation between the Zoho and the external systems, right? So on the other hand, so when we see to the OpenAI, so OpenAI brings the and the futuristic OpenAI, right? So with Zoho RPA, which handles the flow, that has the workflow and it has the triggers and it has the actions. So on the other hand, when we look at the OpenAI, so it handles the why part, right? So the Zoho RPA handles the how, and the OpenAI handles the why part. So that will be interpreting and analyzing and deciding. So you might ask, like, can't we do all this with Zoho Flow and APIs? So why bring in Zoho RPA, right? So before we get into this question, so let me present my screen. Right. Um, so we get into the question again. So can we all do this with Zoho Flow and APIs, and why bring in Zoho RPA, right? So here, the key distinction between the Zoho Flow and API-based automations and between the Zoho RPA, right? So, if I mean, the Zoho flow is event driven and work great when the structured APIs are exist, right? So in the RPA, when you don't have any APIs and when you don't have any structured data, so when you have in your when the data is scheduled to be fetch the data from your legacy systems, right? So in that cases, you move to RPA, and when you have a structured data, when you have an APIs in your hand, you move to flow and not RPA, right? Before that, we'll get into what is RPA, right? So RPA is it's an expansion. Like if everyone knows that robotic process automation, it mimics the human actions and like human actions. You mean like clicking buttons, typing, or navigating the web tabs, or reading the data from the files or screens, etc. And it also executes a sequence of steps, like just like a user would log in, fetch the details, and compare the data between the sites and update the item and log out. So this executes the sequence of steps that we follow, and it works across the applications also, including the legacy systems and desktop apps and web portals and even Excel sheets and more. So it runs without the human intervention. So once triggered, the bot can perform the tasks 24/7 without any breaks. So if you have scheduled the task to be run by some time, so when at that particular time the trigger starts, and the sequence of steps would be uh, uh, the sequence of steps will be followed with the flow that you have set it up in your RPA cloud platform. That we'll see that example of the thing that we talked about, the Zoho flow and the difference between the Zoho flow and the Zoho RPA. That in the case, like for example, let us take a new lead is created in Zoho CRM and being pushed to your mails. So in the in real example, so the workflows often go the beyond API coverage, right? Especially when you need to automate the legacy systems like the desktop apps or older web portals like no APIs. So in that case, so logging into the government tax portal or downloading the returns manually and it updates the documents into the documents or your invoices into the Zoho books, right? So the Zoho flow cannot do this. So actually, RTA can simulate the human actions where you can log into a government tax portal and you can download the files and then upload the files to the Zoho books or your tool that you're having for the account management, right? So first thing here, the Zoho flow cannot simulate the human actions. And the second point is you have to read the data from the PDFs or Excel sheets or the scanned documents, right? So if you have the structured data in your hand, like the PDF or the Excel sheets that you're having, even the flow can read the structured data. But here, if you have the unstructured data, right, the reading bank statements or invoices with variable formats. So if you have a variable distinct formats in that is not into your system, so that in that case, so you can go for an RPA that will be having a OCR thing that will be scanned your data and understands the data into a structured format, and then you can play with your data to push into your tool, right? Okay, let's get into an example scenario like where you need an RPA. So first you have a invoice request or the invoice files you have in your system. So either you extract the invoice from your system or download the file from some websites. So the account executive have to extract the data first, whether he is going to download it from the website or taken from your system, which is being stored into your system at particular scheduled times, right? So, and then the executive needs to data entry with that invoices, the bills that he is having in that folder into some tool, into some invoice tool, like let's keep Zoho Invoice or Zoho Books tool. So that he needs to do it manually when he needs to extract data from his system and see what are all the things, what are all the parameters that is involved into the documents, like the invoice number or the date or the items and the amount. So these things he needs to take up and data entry manually into the tool, right? So here the system does the RPA system does the thing, like he the process that that he has followed manually can be replaced by a RPA agent, right? There will be an agent that will be installed into his system, and what are all the flows that he has done so far to upload and generate invoice into a tool that can mimic the clicks and drags and the files and read the files, and it can upload it to the certain account management tool that he is having. Right. So this is one of the example scenario. And coming into the Zoho RPA, so Zoho RPA is a no-code robotic process automation platform. That here you don't need to code something to create a flows to perform in your target system. So you can simply drag and drop all the action items into your flows, and you can perform the task that you need. For advanced customized functions, so you have a deluge script uh, written in your custom function that you can add up to your flow to have some advanced application, to have some advanced features to include into your flow, right? So in that cases, you can use the coding using the deluge, and in normal cases, you can have the flow just away with a drag and drop feature. And how does the RPA works? So first of all, you need to build a flow in the RPA web client, so which is in the cloud. So it is first you need to design the automation visually using the flow diagrams, and then this this automation actually works across the web and web desktop and the cloud platforms. So you can automate both the modern tools and the legacy platforms. So here, uh, okay, so let's talk about the RPA agent that is in the middle. So that gets the data from the RPA web client where you have set it up your flows and performs the actions on the target system. So I have set my flow on my web client, and from there the target system is being activated and performed on the flows that have been set up from the web client. So that is performing on my target system using the RPA agents. So the RPA agent should be installed into your target system that acts as a person which does the repetitive tasks or the rule-based tasks. So instead of that, this RPA agent will be replaced and does the same work instead of the person who is doing the same clicks and drags and the things that need to be updated into his system, right? So the execution model is this. So when a flow is triggered, so by you can flow the trigger by manually or schedule it or even by using the webhooks. So the Zoho RPA cloud instructs the agent and performs the task step by step. So you get the logs and screenshots there. So using that, you can audit your trials and for each and every bot run. See, highlighting the key features of Zoho RPA. So uh, now that we have seen how Zoho RPA works, right? Let's walk through some of the most powerful features like that we are having into Zoho RPA. So Zoho RPA is completely cloud native. So which means you can build and manage and deploy your automation flows directly from the cloud without any development tools, right? So this allows for the centralized governance, and that gives you the seamless access from anywhere. So, and then the various triggers and actions for your automation needs. So you can trigger your RPA flows using multiple event types, that is time-based schedules and manual triggers, and using the webhooks. So once triggered, the bot can perform a set of actions like the UI clicks, keyboard inputs, API, the file operations that gives you the full flexibility mm, to do your job. So, and you have an RPA recorder. So one of the most user-friendly features is the RPA recorder. So it lets you to record your screen interactions and automatically convert them into the Zoho RPA flows. So right. So for example, let's take I need to create I need to upload the same invoice into some tool, right? So I need to go into the folder where my invoice is present, and I need to open my tool in the website, log in it, and go to the certain module where I need to upload the invoice, and then I need to get an approval from the manager. After getting the approval from the manager, it goes somewhere else to the another tool and stored permanently, right? So these things, the account executive or the person who is or the human is going to follow. So you just need to turn on the recorder, screen recorder, and does this job. This RPA screen recorder scans where are the clicks and where are the tracks and where are the screen is changing, and according to it, it builds up the flows. Uh, and performs the same flow into the target system, right? So, and then integrating with the cloud apps. So Zoho RPA supports the direct integration with cloud platforms like Zoho CRM books and Google Workspaces and others. So you can combine cloud APIs with UI automations in a single flow, right? And you can include custom functions with Deluge also. So for most advanced use cases, you can use the Deluge scripting language. So to write the custom logic inside your RPA flows, this gives you the ability to manage data and handle the conditions and perform some and perform all the other services that without breaking the no code approach, right? So without breaking the flow, it can perform. You can include your custom functions into your flow to get your job done. So when to use RPA? So if you use the legacy system, so many businesses rely on the legacy desktop software like tools that don't support the modern API or cloud integrations, right? So Zoho RPA can interact with these systems directly through the UI and by mimicking the button or the human actions like opening the app or navigating the menus or entering into the data. So you can use in those cases when the systems when you use your legacy systems, right? So and the apps that don't have APIs. So not all applications provide APIs, let's say, especially for the government portals, internal tools, or the older platforms. So Zoho RPA solves this by acting like a user, logging in, clicking, copying, pasting without needing any the backend access. So when you need to automate the web interactions, right? So if your workflow involves filling up the online forms, scrapping data from the websites, or downloading files, and you're tracking the status on some external web apps. So in these cases, Zoho RPA can handle it by simulating the browser behavior and even the DOM level actions, and then the automating your desktop apps. Right. So when your business process involves heavy use of desktop software like Tally, Excel, or local ERPs, so those tasks are repetitive, right? So Zoho, when you face the repetitive tasks, the Zoho RPA becomes essential. So it can run bots that open the apps and process files, and even control the keyboard, mouse at the OS level, and you can automate your desktop apps within a second. And at large data exchange across multiple platforms. So often the businesses operate across multiple platforms. So multiple to say in precise disconnected platforms. So cloud, desktop, or the portals or the documents that they are using. So the RPA becomes the bridge between those these all these layers, like by transferring and transforming the data across these layers. So without any, with or without any integration support. And this is the RPA agent that I referred before. Like we have an RPA agent for three OS, so operating systems for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So for Windows, we have an RPA agent that we can install into the Windows system, and for Mac OS also we have an dedicated RPA agent that performs the actions on the Mac, and you have an separate dedicated RPA agent for Linux OS, right? So and you have a triggers. So you have three triggers in RPA, like schedule, desktop event, and a webhook. So all might have already heard of schedule, since you are probably using Zoho Flow, or the schedule trigger is common, right? So the triggers lets you to run bots on a predefined schedule, like daily or weekly or monthly and yearly. So it's ideal for automations like report downloads or daily data syncs, or end of the day invoice reconciliation, right? So for the desktop event triggers, also called file or desktop triggers, right? It activates when specific events happen, like on the local machine, right? So right away, if you have, you can even set up a hotkey desktop event, like if you are clicking up like space and F for the control space and G. So if you have set it up like these combination of keys as a hotkeys, so when you press these keys, so triggers will be started and your flow gets in running in the behind in your system, right? So you have a desktop event also, and the webhook trigger, so that allows the RPA flow for listening for the that helps that allows your RPA flow to listen for the incoming HTTP calls from the external systems or applications in real time. So whenever an external event occurs, such as a high priority deal closed in CRM, or a third party app update, or it triggers the bot immediately using the incoming HTTP calls. So this RPA flow just listens for that HTTP calls, and when it receives, it actually the triggers get started and your flow get performed by the way. So, integrating with OpenAI integrations in the RPA flow. So you have two main OpenAI actions available, that is create chat completion and create completion. So the another third one is verify compliance with usage policy. So I'm coming to that later. So before that, I'll be explaining create chat completion and create completion. So the action that lets the users to use the OpenAI's chat-based models like ChatGPT 3.5 or GPT-4. So for context-aware and multi-turn tasks, right? So it's useful when you want your bot to analyze the text across the multiple messages, because it has the context history to read the previous and the new messages that you are adding up, right? So and it can extract the detailed information from the complex documents also, and it can generate the structured responses memory of uh, with memory of prior prompts. And when you are comparing with create completion, so this is a quick and single prompt interaction. So that is useful for simple tasks like text generation, formatting input, auto tagging, or classification, right? So it's just a lightweight and fast process action item here. So so if you need a fast and lightweight action, so you can go for a create completion, that is quick and single prompt interaction. So and if you need a reply like an open, like the chat GPT that you are using on a dedicated platform, so you can go for create chat completion. So getting into the third point, verify compliance with usage policy. So whenever you are integrating your AI into the business processes, so the compliance and data safety becomes critical, like especially when you are dealing with third party services like OpenAI. So that's where this verify compliance with usage policy is being integrated here. So actually, it checks all the input data before sending to OpenAI. So every time when your RPA flow calls the OpenAI, so whether for chat completion or data extraction, the input is scanned for sensitive or prohibited content, right? So this feature helps your business to stay compliant with the OpenAI usage policies or the internal company data policies. So in here you can see the output that is being that we have got from the verify compliance with usage policies. So here I have sent something to the OpenAI. So I have shared some data to the OpenAI. So before sharing the data to OpenAI, so I have used the verify compliance with usage policies action item here. So if I use this action, so it just scans all your data that is before sending to the OpenAI and gives whether this your data having these things like hate threatening or the self harm or harassment things are there in your um, data, and just gives you with a boolean statement true or false. So you can check the flags. So depends on the flags. If it's true, you can set up the decision makers to get the flow into a different way. And if the flagged if you have a flagged yes, you can proceed with the flow that you have been set up, right? So by these using these verify compliance with usage policies, you deal with the data safer. Okay, so this is where you can integrate the chat OpenAI with RPA. So we need to create a connection and need to set a variable name and choose the model that you are going to ask. So here I have, and you need to give the prompt also to extract the data from where you're extracting, where you're fetching the actual data from your legacy systems, right? Okay, so let's get into the use case now. So the use case is to automate the extraction of the information from the scanned document or the image that you're having in your system. So for example, let's take an invoice that you're having in your system. So what it does is we run the content complaint checks from the scanned invoice through the OCR. With the help of OCR, we extract the data uh, from the image, and we run the content complaints checks to check whether we have any harmful data in the invoice written or something printed. So right, so before sending into the OpenAI, and this OpenAI based interpretation actually it actually enhances the data, because the image that has that you have uploaded, right, it's not in a structured format. So even though you use an OCR, so when you get the data, you get in an unstructured format. So if you have an invoice with an unstructured format also, we can set up an variable uh, targeting the place with an invoice. So get the to get the variable and the value that you can get from the scanned document. And with these, we can store the data into your invoice generation tool. Uh, on here, I have used Zoho Creator as to storing the data. So to store the extracted data, right? Let's get into the demonstration now. Okay. So this is the flow I have set up to actually I've used a schedule to grass. So can see get inside an edit button to see the start date as uh, 10 a.m. So 10 a.m. this schedule will be running. So it just gets the data from your the file folder that you have uploaded. So I have set it up a file folder here. So the folder which it needs to extract the data from. So from there it gets the data and it analyzes the data using the OCR. So I have set it up to OCR to get the text from the image. So I have here I have given the path for taking the image. So sample invoice image. So and even the execution image part from the sample, the template image part, you can give a template of the invoice that you are going to uh, have and target the place that where you are going to get a variables and set the value for those variables, and using this template image you can have the execution in your execution path. You can have various invoices images. So from the template image it refers and gets the variable settled, and the execution image path it scans the image and get the text from that, and we can set the variables accordingly, right? And after getting the text, I have used the verify compliance. So to ensure whether the text have the neat and clear data. So uh, right. So after getting the text with a OCR, so I have given the same variable to passing to the verify compliance with usage policies here. So it just gets the scanned data from the OCR and pushes to the verify compliance. And from there, I have included it based on values, having the Boolean values for certain checks, right? So I have taken here is hate or threatening. So if it falls, then the flow will be get continued with going with the OpenAI. And if the flow, if you get threatening is true, if you're getting the Boolean value is true, then it will send the email to the person or the manager that they are having. So the informing this invoice is having some harmful data or the content that you are not hoping to have, right? So you can send it the email with a subject like for that particular invoice or the data that you are having. So if the decision checkbox returns with a true, then you are going to the create chat completion part. So here I have given the part with the prompt saying that you extract the data from the OCR text like the invoice date and um, name and vendor name and the items and things that you needed to upload into your system, so or upload into your account tool, so in the given format, right? So and I have given, so actually you get the response from the OpenAI in the string format, right? So if you go to the OpenAI and ChatGPT and ask in the chat box, you get the return as a return everything in a string format, right? So here I've used a custom function like to extract the data into the JSON format just to map the fields with the creator forms, right? So here I have used the function, like I'll show you the function. So I'm getting the response from the string. So and with the string data, so I'm just mapping the data into the Zoho creator fields. So to map the fields, I need to have the data in a JSON format, right? So key value pair format. So in the key value for to make a key value pair format, so I need to use the to map function here. So using this function, so I'm just changing the formats here to upload the data into the creator. So I have like a two-line function. So convert the data that we got result from the OpenAI, and from here I'm using the create record uh, item, so that it actually I have connected with the Zoho creator, where I have set up the form name, and set up the invoice number and date and name, and the various fields that needs to be mapped from the result that we are getting from the OpenAI, right? So I have mapped the fields here, and I have connected with the Zoho creator. So I have forms in the Zoho creator. So let us this is a form that I'm having already in the Zoho creator. Let us delete it for the checking purpose. We can run the flow. So it actually gets the text from the OCR. So it actually got the text from the sample invoice that I'm having in my folder. And it just checks the verify compliance with that text that is having. So right, this text I have given as an input, and with the output, so I got these things scanning the text before going to the OpenAI. It scans the text for the harmful content. So the flag is false, like the the flow will get proceeded with uh, proceeded below, and with the decision box, so I get the condition is false, right? So I have checked whether the condition is false or not. Only if you get false, then the flow should continue. So in the input, it goes to the OpenAI ChatGPT. So GPT 4.1 model I have used, and with this I got an output in this format. So you can see like the content that from through the string data that is being scanned from the OCR. So I've given the plain raw text unstructured data from the OCR to the chat GPT to form a structured data in the JSON format, right? So here I have a content like saying the invoice number and date and amount in a structured format in a JSON in the JSON format, right? So here from here I'm again going to here I've got a string data, even though it's in a JSON format, so it gives you in the string data as a string data. So I need to take the string data into a clean and plain JSON format. So for that I have used the custom function. So here I have got the data in the string format. In the output, I can see the output. So it's in a complete JSON format. So in this JSON format, you have the data that is having that is being extracted from the OCR from the bill. So the amount, invoice number, and the vendor name and date, right? So you can see this is the info, and see the create record, the output. So it actually created a record into the Zoho creator. It's the flow has been run, and the invoice has been created with the data that being extracted from the unstructured data through the bill. So I have taken the data from the image, and it extracted through the OCR, and we have the data filled into the forms, and we have a report. So same way you can do it, integrate your Zoho books and create an invoice. So and you can use the any other account management tool that you're having, or you can integrate it and perform the flow with the RPA. So that's it from my side. So If you have any queries, you can ask to the question and answer. Let's wait for a couple of minutes. I'm checking whether I'm getting any questions. Thank you everyone for participating in the webinar. So we can see the webinar recorded into the and we'll post the webinar in the YouTube also. So I've given a link so you can check it out on the SPIKRA website, SPIKRA channel in the YouTube. And if you have the number I have given you, can contact